Happy holidays, recorders. Welcome back to my channel. I'm your host, Steven. Well, today I'm finally going to talk about what did I think of Spider-Man No Way Home. Probably the most anticipated Marvel film since Avengers Endgame. Let me just get to the point. The only part I really cared about was Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield showing up, which, oh my god, that was like the worst kept secret ever. I mean, social media has ruined the movies now. On Tuesday, the day after the premiere of the movie, I was waking up and then I go on my phone looking at Spider-Man No Way Home, the Wikipedia, and right there I see that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield do show up, which I was like, yes! And like, I admit, I couldn't help it, but I was going like all throughout YouTube, like watching the clips where they show up, and I was like, yes! And it got me excited to, go see the movie in theaters, but that's the thing, like, a part of me wishes that I did not do that, but I just couldn't help it. Like, I didn't even do that for Avengers Endgame. I cannot get enough of watching, audience reactions to, the movie. I mean, just the part of Tobey and Andrew showing up. Okay, so this part is not the only thing I like about the movie. Let's just go back to the beginning, like where Mysterio, he reveals Spider-Man's identity, Peter Parker, which, come on, like, here's one thing that I've always, like, questioned about that. What makes them assume that, yeah, this guy is Spider-Man? Like, Peter could have, like, lied about it. I mean, there's no, like, a lot of specific evidence of it. They could have just lied about it, saying that he's wrong, don't listen to him. I mean, sure, they were saying that, yeah, the Stark Tech drones were his, but maybe there was a way he could have gotten away with it. And, like, here's kind of a thing that feels a little messed up. Like, during this whole situation where Peter's trying to get out of trouble, where, Charlie Cox, he comes back as Daredevil in his little cameo, and the audience didn't seem to care. They were just saying that, wait, who's that guy? He's like, oh, yeah, I remember him. He's the Daredevil guy. And, like, come on, they could have clapped for him. So, since Peter's identity is hurting everyone around him, he decides to go to Doc Strange and ask him for help and, cast a spell if he could forget everyone's identity of him. And, well, that's one of the things about the spell that doesn't make sense. Is like how, it causes the villains to come from, to their universe. It's like, that part, like, it needs a little bit more clarity, or maybe I just think that way. And Peter, he's on the bridge trying to meet up with a person from MIT to, reinstate MJ and Ned, and then that's when Doc Ock comes back in. I'm very impressed with the de-aging effects they did on Alfred Molina. It's, like, really good, and when they first announced that he was coming back, I was curious, like, he's gonna be old, but no, they de-aged him, and I'm very impressed. And I don't know why, like, during the battle with him and Spidey, I just like the part where, Doc Ock, he's, like, impressed by the nanotech that's in Peter's suit. Like, I just, like, throughout this movie, I just like the science aspect, and I'm glad that they decided to, continue that. Like, I don't know why, I just nerd out about that shit. More villains comes, like William Dafoe's iconic Green Goblin shows up, and I was like, wow, that was, like, really cool of him to come back and, like, well, like, I know that over the years, people have not been that impressed with the Goblin's costume because he looks like a Power Rangers villain and how he smashes the mask, which, that part of me died when I saw that part. More of the conflict that builds up from the film is between Parker and Strange, how he's saying that, ooh, they need to go back to their universes and die, and Peter feels like, hey, what if we just cure them, which... yeah, I do feel like that's admirable of Peter, but it's like, it just feels a little weird, and like, does it ruin the legacy of those villains, like in their films, like Doc Ock, sacrificing himself, or, the Goblin accidentally killing himself, which, it's like, I didn't want to, like, I was hesitant when I heard that these villains will be coming back, but I didn't want, like, their, legacy of what they left behind in their films to get tarnished. Seeing the villains interact with each other, like, it was really good, and to me, just seeing them interact, it makes sense that a Sinister Six film would have worked fine if they actually did it back a few years ago. One of the things I like about the film is like how it's more darker, and you can tell by the cinematography, which the cinematography in this film is actually really good. It like, showcases more of the darkness, which I really like the way it's done, like compared to like the last two Spider-Man films. Like what they're doing here was really great to illustrate the darkness going around, and especially in the moment where Goblin kills Aunt May, which, fuck, I mean, that was like really hard to watch, and I felt like bad for like the actress they have to go through that, like Marissa Tomei. Like that was like must have been really hard for her. Like I did hear in an interview that she had to go to therapy because of the movie, which, damn. Now, all the build up to that for Parker to have this moment of loss, that was really good setup, especially leading up to the other Parkers, Peter 1, Peter 2, which, oh my god, that moment in the theaters where, as soon as Andrew Garfield showed up, the whole audience was just like, woohoo! And that was like just a really good feeling. And then when Toby shows up, and everyone just went crazy, and especially when those two interact. Like that was really like one of my favorite whole things about this film. It's like seeing the Spideys interact, but it's not just that. Like the moment where they go looking for Peter and he meets them, like how they like tell them their own stories of how they deal with loss, how Toby, he lost Uncle Ben, and how Andrew, he lost Gwen Stacy. Like the way how, like, especially how Toby delivered his dialogue, that like really, I felt that, and also the same thing with Andrew, like how they deliver like their monologues about dealing with loss and what happened afterwards. It's like I really felt that, and that's like what got me like thinking a lot about like my own personal demons that I have in my life. Like I do think about like how about a year ago when before me and my girlfriend Jamie were together, we had like this huge argument, and it got me thinking, how can I ever talk to her after that? And like we didn't talk to each other for a month after that. Well, mostly because I had COVID, so I had to be out of work for 3 weeks, and yeah, like as soon as I had a chance to see her, like I felt like I had to redeem myself. Here's the little issues that I had with the film is like there's just some like unnecessary cringe, like especially where Toby and Andrew, they're like talking to each other, and he like Andrew offers to like break his back. It's like as awkward and funny as that looks, it's just it looks like cringe to me. Like what the fuck? Like I don't want to see that kind of humor. I know it's the MCU, you can expect this kind of cringe. All of this leads to a final climactic shadow where the three Spideys, they have to learn to work together because Toby and Andrew, they've never like fought alongside other heroes, and it's kind of interesting if they at this point in like in their universes have they interacted with other heroes in their universe, which that'd be very interesting to explore, and that leads into a final battle where they're going up against their respective villains until this awesome moment where MJ is falling and Andrew, he's able to redeem himself by saving her, and that was really good. It's like all of this, like his Andrew Garfield's performance in this film makes him almost my favorite live action Spider-Man. I really do want to give a lot of credit to Tom Holland's performance in this film. Like I admit, I thought he was going to be overshadowed by Toby and Andrew, but nah, Tom was able to hold his own and like giving a much more intense and darker performance. How Peter, he's like grieving over the loss of his aunt, and how he wanted to kill Osborn so bad. Like I'm very impressed with Tom's acting in this one. As for like the ending of this battle, it's just predictable. Strange shows up, does his spell, and Peter decides, yeah, everyone just forget me. And that includes everyone, Strange, the Avengers. So it's like they never met him. And that's like, I think, a really good idea. And like how, based on the ending of this film, that, Parker, he's like, no one knows him as Spider-Man. He's able to start fresh. Like, I understand like one of the major, like, criticisms people have about Tom Spider is that he he Iron Man helped him. He's basically more like Iron Boy Jr. instead of Spider-Man, and like this like is gonna feel like a very fresh start, which I'm really hoping they do that. Like if they do a sequel trilogy with Tom Spider-Man, that maybe it could be more like the PS4 version. On a final note, this is really just the ultimate fan service. Like being able to see the other Spider-Man like interact with each other, it's like something that we thought like would it ever happen? And well, I give credit to Sony and Kevin Feige for finding a way to manage to make this happen. All they had to do was like listen to the actors and their demands. Like I know the Phobe particularly wanted like to really be in the fight. Like he wanted to do his own stunts. He just didn't want to be there for a cameo and like basically just there to show up. And I kept like the thing with Toby. Like I felt like he was just there to please the fans. Like I felt like he his version of Parker didn't really have like much to offer other than just being kind of like the mentor. But I wish they could have like created like another reason for him to be there than other than satisfying the fans. Well, and I sort of felt that way because, like, towards the end of Toby's trilogy, like, yeah, his Parker feels like completed as a character. Like, what more could they have done with him? And for Andrew Spider-Man, like, how, I actually thought there was gonna be an Amazing Spider-Man 3 and continue on with the character, but all of that got scraped when they announced that Spider-Man would be coming in the MCU and it wasn't gonna be him. But throughout this whole movie, Andrew has redeemed himself so much that the fans want a third film for him. Like, and I really hope that happens. I really did enjoy this movie. This is something you have to watch in the theaters. Don't watch it on a phone. Like, I understand we're still in a pandemic, but if you really want to see this movie, go to the theaters. Well, thank you for tuning in, recorders. Please tell me your thoughts down below in the comments. Give me a like and please hit that subscribe button. And remember, I'm on Cameo if you like a special shout out from me. And catch you next time.